Hello, ladies and gentlemen, financial advisors around the world. I am Bill Winterberg of FPPad.com, broadcasting you live today from Atlanta, Georgia. And joining me today on today's program is Wes Stillman, founder of a company called Right Size Solutions. Wes, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you, Bill. I appreciate the time and the offer to come in and talk to you today.
Absolutely, Wes. So we're going to do a fun show, about 15 minutes for advisors tuning in live. And I want you to give advisors watching a brief description of what Right Size Solutions is and what you're doing for the financial services community.
Absolutely. Right Size Solutions provides a private cloud environment, mainly for RIAs, broker-dealers, reps, independent representatives. And what we do is bring an entire desktop, all their applications and data, into a private cloud. It gives them the ability to access it from anywhere and pretty much any device they might have. So they don't have to change a whole bunch of applications to move to the cloud.
Excellent. So I had on last week Stephen Ryder of a company called True North Networks. Advisors can watch that replay on my YouTube channel. And one of the hard questions I gave Stephen was the cost of moving to the cloud. So I want to jump right away into costs and where you kind of draw the line on costs, because as advisors are planning their budgets for 2013, they may want to get that server in the closet out of the closet, no pun please, and get that into the cloud. So when advisors are thinking about making that move in 2013, where should they be forecasting that budget? What kind of fees should they be aware of when making that move?
Great question. First of all, the fees vary greatly depending upon what applications and what they really want to use the cloud for, all the way from a single application like a CRM to a full-blown turnkey solution like Right Size might offer. Clearly, they have to watch out for things like, are those fees fixed? What goes into those fees, and what are the extra fees associated with it? Like, do I get charged for a help desk call? Do you even provide help desk type services? And if so, what do they cover, and what isn't covered in those fees?
And can you speak about implementation fees? What are typical implementation fees to move out to the cloud? And we've also had some discussions about per users versus storage-based fees. Give me some more descriptions on that.
Right. Well, I can tell you what Right Size does. Our fees are based mainly on number of users. And by users, we don't mean computers. We mean actual people, users of the environment, the amount of storage that they're going to consume. And we don't mean the amount of storage their applications are going to consume, but the data itself. So the amount of emails they want to keep and the amount of actual data they are keeping. So that and a complexity kind of factor that goes in there. Do you have one application, or do you have a whole plethora of applications that we have to support, and how difficult those applications will be to support? Typically, in our case, those fees range somewhere around $140 a month per user on average. So it's pretty straightforward. That includes literally everything except implementation. It also includes things like Microsoft Office, and it includes all the Microsoft licensing, as we have a partnership agreement with Microsoft. Those fees, in our case, also can go up and down on a monthly basis. So if you start out with 3 users, you go up to 5, let's say during a tax season, and you drop back down, those fees go back down to the actual number of users you have. So that's the way they can fluctuate, but the actual fee per user doesn't change. Implementation actually can fluctuate fairly greatly. Again, I can't speak for anybody else out there. Right Size implementation varies anywhere from $500 to $1,500 as a flat fee.
Oh, that seems very reasonable. And then to reiterate, you talked about the Microsoft suite of products. I know some advisors are interested in the new release of 2013, of Office 2013. So if advisors are users of Right Size Solutions services, say that 3 times fast, you're able to roll out the Office 23 suite with no added cost to those users, right?
Right, absolutely. We have a service level agreement or service provider level agreement with Microsoft that includes software assurance. So it rolled into our fees, and our cost with Microsoft, we actually pay for those upgrade fees automatically. So if you say you're on 2003 and you want to jump into right size and you want to start with 2003, jump all the way to 2013, you can do that. And we can do that over a weekend or an evening, anytime you want to do that, and your fees will not change with that. So from a budgeting standpoint, as you mentioned before, it's what you're looking for is something that can be consistent, that is not going to change, and you can predict it, throughout the entire time you're with that provider.
Yeah, very good. I know predictability and just continuity of costs, so advisors know what to expect and there's no surprises. I think that's a very attractive feature of any service provider, whether it be Right Size Solutions or any other cloud providers that are out there. Another question that I usually get from advisors from the FPPad community is, what happens if I get a divorce with my cloud provider? What happens if just there's problems with uptime, or I just can't get the support that I want, or the features don't work? I put a CRM that's a desktop based and move it to your environment and it just doesn't work the way I want it to work. How do advisors leave a cloud provider? What happens to their data? Walk me through some of those options and maybe how Right Size Solutions approaches that separation. How do advisors get their data back, and what should they ask before they engage a provider so that they're not handcuffed or held hostage by a rogue provider?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, we've never really had to go through this process, but what we've always told our advisors is you can have your data and your applications anytime you want them, in any way, any format. So that's Right Size's guarantee. You can get it any number of ways, and you need to ask how long it's going to take to get that data right up front, and how you go about it, and what those costs are going to be associated with it right up front. In our case, you can always copy data back and forth between the remote environment and the local environment. That's kind of a laborious, time-consuming thing. But if you just need a file, you're jumping on an airplane, you want to do your presentation, you just copy it, it's there.
Okay, so it's never isolated in your environment.
Absolutely not. This is your data, it's your licenses, your applications. We don't want to hold it hostage. What we want to do is provide value, just like Steve said in your previous interview. We really want our clients to see the value we're providing and not fear that they can't leave us. So you can have your data at any time, any way that you want. But that said, we all know that, well, I've got Juncture, or I've got Portfolio Center, or I've got some SQL database. Those things are not easily moved around. It takes a little bit of effort to copy them back and forth. And typically, they're very big in size, just like your email may be very large in size. So moving that can be difficult at any given moment in terms of speed and how fast you want it. In our case, if you say, I need all my data, we can provide you with an encrypted hard drive, put everything on that drive, send it out to you, give you the key, and that's your drive, that's your data, your applications. Mm-hmm. The other thing we do is also use an agreement with Carbonite. It's a special deal. If you want to do it, in addition to all the backups and everything that Right Size does today, you can also have a backup of your data on Carbonite, so that if you ever fear that the provider is going to just disappear, or you're afraid they aren't going to give you your data back, you have your data available through Carbonite. So while that may be a slower process to get your data back, it's still there and it's available, and it's through a third party.
Right.
So you need some way to be able to get it back.
Yeah, so Carbonite is one of those online file storage and arguably somewhat synchronization services. So it's similar to a product like Ignite, maybe SugarSync or Dropbox, but Carbonite's more on the enterprise side for large data volumes. Is that correct?
That is correct. It also stores the data in an encrypted format, so you don't have to worry about security there. So it's not really like a Dropbox where you might or might not have security. It's truly the data has been encrypted and compressed, and it's waiting for you to go and pick it up, move it back.
Yeah, so that's a good category description for those that don't know Carbonite specifically. It's in that cloud-hosted storage solution service offering.
Right.
Now my next topic for the last 5 minutes that we have here together is, as advisors do move successfully to the cloud, it really frees them from the hassle of maintaining software on local servers and arguably maintaining software on local machines. And what I'm seeing and what I think many advisors are aware of is it frees a lot of advisors to use Apple products because they're no longer restricted to using the Windows operating system and using Internet Explorer. They're now able to offload a lot of those programs and applications into your cloud and your hosted environment, so they can use an Apple laptop, they can use an Apple desktop machine.
Right.
So as you have clients, tell me if you have clients, certainly you have them in the Windows environment. Tell me about those clients that might be using Apple products and what some of the changes you're seeing with Apple hardware as well as Windows hardware. Windows 8 is coming out. What's that doing? You know, it's a lot of kind of questions in there. So take a step back and say, what do you think changes in Apple hardware and Windows hardware are going to do for advisors that are thinking about moving to the cloud?
Well, first of all, you're 100% right. Once all your applications move to the cloud and you have that desktop environment that you can log on to, now it frees you from what you hold in your hand or you set on your desktop. That becomes much less important in terms of, will the application run on that? The application is already running in the cloud, so you're just simply logging onto that desktop. It's kind of a different paradigm, but it works, and it works really well. So what that means is your user device, your end user device, Apple, Android even, and Windows are all now very good platforms to be able to access all of your legacy type applications that you're running today. Apple has become very good at it. They have got very high resolution on a lot of their laptops. Looks good. What we are seeing is today it does require a third-party type application or an RDC client to be able to log on to that remote desktop environment. But I will tell you, and kind of a little hint of things to come, we are working on a Java-based client so that Apple, Mac, iPad, you'll open up your browser and you will now have a secure remote connection without having to load that client or third-party piece of software on that application. So changes are coming. The technology is getting better all the time. So we're very excited about that because it does enable the user to use whatever hardware they really like and want to use. Mac has come a long way in terms of what they're doing for the end users and networking as well. So it works well. So,
Yeah, I agree with that. I left Windows. I'm on Mac about 2 years now that I've been fully on board with the Mac operating system. Do you have clients that run pure Apple product offices?
we do. The only real problem we see is some older printers from Mac. Those have to be upgraded, especially if they're wireless-based printers. We want to see those upgraded to newer wireless-based technology. So in other words, the faster band of wireless technology. If it's wired, typically we don't have any issues at all with any Mac environments. So good stuff.
Good. That's good to know. Well, crazy how that 15 minutes goes by pretty quick. So Wes, I'm going to turn it back to you one last final time. Tell me where advisors that are watching this broadcast, where they can find more information about Right Size Solutions.
Great, thank you very much. Please go to our website, www.rightsize-solutions.com. There is a frequently asked questions section out there. I think just about every question we've ever been asked is out there.
Good.
Please take a look at that. We've got a lot of articles and information about how we do things and how we think things should be done out in the cloud environment.
All right, fantastic, Wes. And I'm going to switch over to the schedule of the next broadcasts that I have coming up. You should see on your screen now, coming up next week, December 7th, if you can believe it's the last month of 2012 already. I'm going to have Blaine Warren of RegEd talking about podcasting and podcast techniques and podcast success for financial advisors. The following week, my guest will be Matt Abar, CEO of Finfolio, talk about some Windows 8 and performance management software that he's been working on, and then we'll break for the holiday season on December 21st. So, Wes, once again, thank you so much for joining me today and giving advisors more insight about moving to the cloud.
Thank you very much.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, have a great weekend and see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.